Imagine waking up one day in a world where there's no dollar, no euro, no yen, just Bitcoin. A single universal currency for everyone, everywhere. No borders, no exchange rates, no middlemen. Think about it. Paying for coffee in Tokyo with Bitcoin you earned in New York, instantly and without fees. Sounds like a dream, right? But wait, what would happen to banks, to governments, to the economy as we know it? In this video, we'll explore the fascinating idea of Bitcoin becoming the global currency. Could it create a utopia of financial freedom or bring chaos to the world? Let's dive in. Right now, our entire financial system is built on one key principle: centralization. Governments and central banks control the flow of money, printing it when they need to stimulate the economy, and adjusting interest rates to manage inflation. Every dollar, euro, or yen is backed by a central authority that controls its value. That means when the economy faces a crisis, it's up to these institutions to step in and make decisions that impact everyone, from businesses to everyday people. But what if that system was flipped on its head? Enter Bitcoin. Unlike traditional currencies, Bitcoin is decentralized. No government, no central bank, and no single person controls it. Instead, it operates on a technology called the blockchain, a public ledger of all transactions that is maintained by thousands of computers around the world. It's a system of trust that doesn't rely on a middleman, and most importantly, Bitcoin's supply is capped at 21 million coins, meaning no one can just print more when they need it. Now, imagine the possibilities. A currency that can't be manipulated, no inflation-driven crashes, and no middlemen skimming off fees. Sounds like freedom, right? But could this radical shift actually work in the real world? Let's find out. Imagine a world where you're no longer bound by the rules of traditional money. You know, the kind where inflation eats away at your savings, and exchange rates make every international transaction a gamble. What if you could wake up and know that your money's value would remain the same no matter where you go or what happens in the global economy? Welcome to the world of Bitcoin, where financial freedom, transparency, and simplicity reign. First, let's talk about transparency. Every Bitcoin transaction is recorded on the blockchain, a public ledger that anyone can access. This level of transparency means governments and corporations can no longer hide shady dealings, and individuals can trust the system without needing to rely on banks to act as middlemen. It's the ultimate anti-corruption tool, ensuring every transaction is visible and immutable. In a world where financial institutions have sometimes turned a blind eye to corruption, Bitcoin creates an entirely new standard of accountability. Then there's the elimination of borders. Right now, if you want to send money across the globe, you're hit with hefty transaction fees, slow processing times, and a bunch of paperwork. With Bitcoin, you could send money to anyone, anywhere, in a matter of minutes, with no banks involved and zero conversion fees. The world would become more connected. Businesses could thrive without worrying about exchange rates, and people could send remittances to their families abroad without losing a chunk of their hard-earned cash. And let's not forget inflation resistance. Unlike fiat currencies, which can be printed at will by governments, Bitcoin's supply is fixed. This means it's immune to inflationary pressures. In a world where you can never be sure what your money's worth will be tomorrow, Bitcoin offers a stable alternative. But is this just a dream, or could it actually work? Let's dig deeper. Now, as appealing as a world where Bitcoin is the global currency sounds, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room: volatility. Bitcoin's price swings are legendary. One minute, it's soaring to new heights. The next, it's crashing down. Imagine using Bitcoin to buy your morning coffee and watching its value drop by 20% by lunchtime. That's a problem for stability. And without stability, can Bitcoin truly replace traditional currencies? Next, accessibility. While Bitcoin might sound simple to tech-savvy individuals, millions of people around the world still have limited access to the internet, digital wallets, or even electricity. For many, adopting Bitcoin as a primary currency is an impossibility. And what about the environmental cost? Bitcoin mining requires huge amounts of energy. Could a world powered by Bitcoin sacrifice the planet's future for financial freedom? These aren't easy hurdles to overcome. Let's take a look at El Salvador, a small country that made headlines in 2021 for becoming the first in the world to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. It was a bold move, one that shook the global financial community. The government hoped Bitcoin could drive financial inclusion, allowing the unbanked population to access financial services via smartphones. While it's still early to judge the full impact, it's a glimpse into how Bitcoin could be integrated into daily life on a national scale. On the other side, we've seen major institutions like Tesla and MicroStrategy making Bitcoin a part of their balance sheets. Corporate giants like these see Bitcoin's potential not just as a speculative investment, but as a hedge against inflation and a store of value. These real-world examples show that Bitcoin is no longer just a fringe concept. It's moving toward mainstream adoption, and the journey has only just begun. Now imagine for a moment, it's 2035, and the world runs on Bitcoin. No more conversion rates, no more waiting days for a bank transfer to clear. Everything from paying your rent to buying groceries is done in Bitcoin. But here's the kicker. What does this mean for economies, nations, and individuals? First, let's look at how global trade would change. Right now, international business deals are slowed down by exchange rates, complicated banking fees, and trade barriers. With Bitcoin, companies could send and receive payments instantly, regardless of location. A small startup in India could easily strike a deal with a supplier in Brazil without the usual hurdles. It would lead to a borderless economy, where distance and currency exchange are irrelevant and opportunities are limitless. But what about the impact on government power? Central banks control money supply, interest rates, and inflation. With Bitcoin, these levers of power would be out of their hands. Governments might find themselves powerless to stimulate economies in times of crisis. Can traditional economic policies even exist without the ability to print money? This shift could lead to more financial independence for citizens, but also greater unpredictability. And then there's the individual. Bitcoin might empower people by giving them control over their finances, but it also brings the risk of a digital divide. Those who understand Bitcoin, who are tech-savvy, will thrive, while others may struggle to adapt. Could this lead to a more divided world, where wealth is not just about money, but about knowledge and access? Ultimately, the future of Bitcoin as a global currency is full of opportunities and risks. Could it change the way we think about money? Absolutely. But is it the answer to every financial problem? That's a story we'll have to see unfold. So, there you have it. Bitcoin as a global currency, transforming economies, democratizing finance, and offering an entirely new way to think about money. The benefits are clear: instant transactions, transparency, and a hedge against inflation. But it's not without its challenges. Volatility, accessibility, and environmental concerns could pose significant hurdles on the path to global adoption. While Bitcoin holds tremendous potential to disrupt the current financial system, it's not a perfect solution. It might not replace traditional currencies overnight, and it certainly won't be a one-size-fits-all answer for every nation or individual. But one thing is certain: the rise of Bitcoin is a sign that the world is ready for change. It's pushing us to rethink the very concept of money and how we interact with it. As we watch this journey unfold, one thing is clear: we're only just scratching the surface of what's possible. The future of finance is coming, and it may very well be built on Bitcoin. If you've found this idea of a Bitcoin-powered world fascinating, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join us as we explore more thought-provoking scenarios. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Bitcoin has what it takes to become the global currency of the future? Let's discuss.